And we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to the On the ToolBelt episode. I'm going to call it number 1 of the SRC Summit, April Hall, Irving, Texas. Right, right outside Dallas Fort Worth. We flew in this morning. Glenn and I did, and I'm here today with my great friend Mikey T, who is our VP of Operations down in the Southeast region of the United States.
Sir,
How you doing, brother?
I'm well. And yourself?
Fantastic.
Great.
Yeah, man. So I got to give you guys a big shout out, Vic, Martine, Mike, of course, and Giovanni, who actually said that he needed me. Yeah, so that made me feel good that I'm still wanted, and but no,
And needed.
yeah, and needed, yeah. And but thank you, Gio. Thank you, Martine, for filling in for Pedro, and of course, Vic. I think I lost. There we go. But this is the icebreaker here, so we're going to fine tune things here a little bit. And but anyhow, Mike, thank you for flying in.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. It's an honor. I like doing these events. It's fun to kind of see. I'm excited for this one, just the season kicker.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready for the season to begin.
Yep.
We have a lot of awesome stuff happening, in our location and for the company.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just super exciting to see. I'm just ready to get on with the season.
Yeah.
Ready to get it on, see what happens,
Mm-hmm.
and this is kind of the kickoff to that. So
Yeah,
so it's exciting for me.
yeah, it is exciting, and just like you said, a little shot in the arm. It's the season is right around the corner for us. We have home show season as well.
Yep.
I get super excited about the home shows and stuff like that. You know how much energy we put into those things.
Yep.
But that's kind of like the kickoff. That's our Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Leading up to spring and a big shot in the arm, and where a lot of the culture has been built. At these events with the few of us that get to come to these, but at the local home shows, I think that has been one of the biggest things that we've done for our company as far as the culture of pulling everybody together to build something that, as nice as it is, the displays and stuff like that. But then, once that part's over and, the home show begins and everybody comes in and we're all laughing, carrying on, and salespeople are setting appointments and stuff. And it's been a great way for us to be able to, I call it re-recruit our team.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody?
Who's that?
Sales.
Tom, shut up. Shut that shit down, Vic. Quick. I'm just kidding. But we've also been able to recruit people because of the things that we do, and I think people want to be a part of that. Whether you're already a part of it, that just reminds them why they're a part of it. Right. And then other people are kind of walking around, whether it's our worthy rivals or people from other companies. I don't know how many people we've actually hired because they saw us at those home shows.
Yeah. It's a great way to, what you guys have done kind of in Pennsylvania with the culture is, and, what we're doing in the South, not that it's two separate, companies or anything like that, but it's like you guys have been doing this for a minute at, TC Backer in that location, and we're a little bit newer in the South, but following those footsteps of like, this is a culture. We want to build something where people enjoy to come to work. I mean, if you got to go to work, everybody's got to go to work.
Yep.
So, it's coming to a place to where you're appreciated, and you, I'm going to say, enjoy being there. So like, I don't want people to come in every day and be like, oh, I got to get out of bed and I got to go to a place that I hate. And, and that's what's really, really exciting for me, because we've all been down that rabbit hole. And, even though that this job is super tough, being able to get our culture out there and kind of in Bluffton, we're seeing that a little bit. And it's awesome to watch the whole thing just build, whether it's, we got our first home show this year in March coming up, which is going to be super exciting. I'm pumped to get everybody out and get the guys out and get in with the community and mingle and just to see how things are building with what we're doing and bringing what you guys kind of have started, if you will, up north, down this way, and just keeping that culture run, anywhere we go, and see how it feeds positively in the community. Just the the more that we get feedback. When we were talking about the jingle this morning and how just things like that, it's super exciting to watch. And I'm excited for what it does, but I'm also excited for other people to see that,
Yeah.
and build our teams and you know, each office and just bring people in and have them, you know, an awesome place to be able to go to work, make a living, and enjoy being there.
Yeah. You know, there's a couple really cool things that you touched on there, Mike, and you know, I think the omnipresence that we've been able to create, you know, it's not that I'm the brand, it's your team, your kids that are, you know, the school children that are singing our jingle and stuff, like that's our brand.
Yeah.
Because of the quality of people that we are, we've been able to attract good quality people. You know, and to touch on that, where people want to be a part of that omnipresence, you know, because one of the things we're all competitive, and of course we want to dominate our markets, and that's what it's about. I think people want to be with winners, and winners attract winners, even whether it's our children or our children's friends. They see us winning, right, and they want to be a part of that. And it's the cool thing to do is hang out with winners and dominate your market and be really good at what you do. They see the impact. And it's not about dominating financially. It's about the domination of the impact that we're having on the community.
Yes.
That's where the real flex is.
Yeah. Yeah. Multiple facets too.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like you've kind of touched on it. It's making sure we take care of customers and obviously, you know, everybody in your business got to make money, but it goes as far as what else we do inside the community as well. You know, all kind, and again, that's another part of it that I'm super pumped about, and building that. We kind of talked about a little bit of people want to be a part of winners, you know, a winning team. People also want a place with structure, and when you say you're going to do something, you do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, hey, this is how we do these things every day, and they take that out. You know, it's cleaning up behind yourself, you know, leaving it better than you found it, or you know, when you go to a grocery store and you just push the carts back in, and things that are super simple, watching that be passed on. You know, I hear people talk about it a lot, but it's kind of like, it's cool to be able to lead that, be like, hey, this is the standard that we live our lives by. It's not only necessarily in our office or at our job sites or anything like that. That gets passed on throughout your life. You start using those standards throughout life, and it changes people. We've got some guys on that are running through the 75 hard program and down south, and it's really cool to see it. And it's really cool to see that the guys are down for, you know, whatever they're down. Like it's obviously starts as competitive. We don't want to be the person that says no and everybody else is doing it, but watching that proceed, and that just comes along with the standard, and it all follows up. You know, it's not necessarily just at work or just with customers. It's throughout everything that you do. And I think for me, as I've said before, like that is the most exciting. Everything else will follow. Everything else will come.
Yeah, you know, Mike, and you're so right, and Mike, you are definitely one of those stand-up guys. You know, it's not.
Before then, our first panel, our first breakout of the day, the retail.
I didn't know they were having breakouts today.
Retail, converting insurance work to retail. The breakout area, followed by noise. If you don't know what that is, just
follow the voice.
Just follow the voice.
Opposite side of the entrance to the convention center.
Nice.
Chuck Cody and some other guy on the mic.
I think that was April herself trying to rally the troops. But like we were saying, you know, what you say doesn't make you who you are. It's what you do is what makes you who you are. You know, Mike, and you are a true testament. I'm not going to sit up here and stroke you off or anything, but I want you to know that I see what you're doing. You know what I mean? And you're not just talking the talk. You are walking the walk. And that is so important, to lead by example like that. That's why those guys want to do the 75 hard. I mean, look at you. You're built like a brick shit house. That just doesn't happen by sitting on the couch eating Cheetos and collecting dust in your belly button.
It's happened. I mean, I've done that for sure.
Yeah, me too.
I'm a creature of habit.
Right.
And I love easy stuff too. Just like anybody else.
Me too.
But like you had said, kind of leading from the front. When I got into leadership, always wanted to be a leader. And then when I really got into leadership, realizing how hard it is, because you've got to be able to look at yourself in the mirror. And if you're saying, hey, we're going to do this, that conversation is probably one of the most toughest that most people have, is the one
Yes.
looking at the mirror.
Yeah.
But that's the only way that I've known how to I've learned along the way, but I had to start from the front. I had to
Mhm.
get in the trenches. I have to gain the respect of the people that you're trying to lead, because I didn't know any other way.
Yeah.
Now over the past 10 years, like I've learned, I continue to keep learning how to be a better leader, how to control emotion, how to do those things. But
Yeah.
I think regardless of where you are in leadership, if you've been doing it for 30 years, or if you're just starting out, leading from the front is
Right.
super, super important.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not easy. Leadership is something that just doesn't happen overnight either. And I'm not saying that there isn't leaders aren't born every day. Of course there is.
Yeah.
You're born with certain qualities and aspects of attitude, how you deal with things, but these are all things. They're skills. They're skills that are not easily, it's easy, but it's not simple.
Yeah.
To attain, working on yourself every day. It's very tiring. And I think that's why a lot of people,
Yeah, everybody make your way back to the breakout session.
it's loud. Move your mic a little closer to you. I kind of turn mine around to kind of get it up in there. That way he can turn the mic down a little bit. But it's something that, like, I guess for me, I've always wanted to be a leader too, but I didn't know really how to lead, because the way that I was raised was with an iron fist. You do what you're told. And that was the bottom line. It was just more out of fear and respect. You know what I mean? Is how I was raised. And I got to see it from both sides. Right. And as times changed, as generations have changed, I realized that there's more than one way to handle a situation. There's more than one way to handle people. And I've got to see how different people, and I've really, especially over the past 10 years, I've been able to watch other people and how they responded to certain situations. And this is the thing, is I've seen myself and other people, good and bad, but more importantly was the bad times. And like, oh my God, I act like that during certain circumstances. And it's like, I don't want to be known for that guy that, and I still hear people like, oh my God, don't tell Ty he's going to freak. I still hear that, but I don't remember the last time I actually really like freaked. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not a doormat, but I've learned how to kind of like that email that I sent to Lee. I needed a day or two. You know what I mean? Because my first knee-jerk reaction was to just lose my shit. Like, dude, we'll move. Like, I almost put that in that email. Like, if I have to take that sign down, we'll move.
That you say that because my outlet for that is Jamie. Like I will, things happen and I'm just like, what the fuck? And I get through that really quickly, and then you take a little bit of time, but it's crazy because I've noticed when people call me freaking out, like whether it's production or sales, and they're freaking out, I'm like, hold on, take a deep breath. Let's think this through a couple minutes. And it gives you time to be able to get through that first initial emotion. And I think it's important because reacting off of emotion, I know you've done it. I've done it for, almost all my life. It doesn't always get you where you want to be, but you do a lot of apologizing. And not that I'm above apologizing. I just don't want to keep apologizing for reacting in a way that I'm a grown man. I should be able to, react better. And I think that's been, personally for myself, one of the toughest things to deal with your emotions. It's not easy to run off the emotion, for sure, especially when that's how you came up in the construction trade, was that way, But being able to tie that down and deal with it, it helps your stress level, and it helps everybody else too, like learn how to just, it's going to be okay. We can get through anything, calm down, and be able to lead that.
And it's, what tone do we want to set?
Yeah, for sure.
Do we want to set, we want high performers, but that doesn't mean you have to be a psycho all the time either. Do you know what I mean? And I used to, I think I was confused about that. You know what I mean? I thought high performing was being mean, angry, and yelling loud. I think, I felt like that's what it was about. And it's like, that's not really, and you can breed that type of culture.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And I've kind of done that, where we were all hard asses and screaming and fighting and carrying on job sites and things like that. And it's like, that's not really the culture that one, it's just the blood pressure gets up and you don't get a whole lot. It's not very productive.
Sure.
You,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's really not. You get less done, trying to force a, square peg into a round hole.
Yeah.
Essentially. And don't get me wrong, I still get excited at times, but it lasts much shorter.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as long, and it's not as often where I'll get excited. Like there was a situation that happened here, and I kind of snapped at Vic a little bit on the way back through.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, you know what, through my mind, like, I'm mad and I need to be mad at someone.
Yep.
It's somebody's fault.
Right. Yes.
You know what I
Yep,
mean?
absolutely.
And I caught myself, and I just went outside for a second. And I came in and I thought, you know what? I'm going to make this situation much worse if I turn around and go back there right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done that so many times where I've made the situation so much worse that everybody tends to forget about what actually happened because my behavior was so much worse than what actually just happened.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. And with me, it's kind of like when I get angry and I deal with the emotion, like I will, if I'm arguing with somebody or I've had I will go to the depths to kind of hurt them. And it's just like, man, that's not really the way to be. And then when you can dish it out, but you can't take it.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
When it's been done to me, it's difficult. But after, reading books and listening to podcasts and other leaders out there in the community, and it's like I think there's something good about that, right? There's something good about that energy. There's something good about that when the time is there that you need that, it's there. But being able to control it, I think, really sets you apart from a leader and a man. And I've learned that and trying to be like, man, I don't want people to perceive me. I don't want people to perceive me that way.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I need to be better at dealing with my emotions and being able to, be calm in situations. And even though deep down inside you're boiling, but being able to handle that and learn whatever tactics and ways help you deal with it.
No, and it actually takes more strength to restrain yourself than it actually does to grab a hold of somebody or make a situation a lot worse than it did. And thank God that, like, perfect example of what happened. There was a situation that happened.
Mm-hmm.
I said what I had to say. I wasn't mean when I said it, but I meant what I said.
Yeah.
I was blunt. I wasn't ignorant. I wasn't sarcastic. I wasn't just basically told them what the deal was.
Right.
We left, came back hour later or so. The outcome wasn't 100%, but we kind of met in the middle. But if I would have went back there and I would have kicked the black curtains down, and because trust me, I already knew where the body was going to be buried. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, they have no idea how lucky they are.
Yeah.
Like, I would have turned this place upside down, and Janet had been called to bail me out of jail.
Yeah.
Right. And wouldn't have been the first time, nor would she probably be surprised, because I'm a very passionate person. And I want you to know how passionate I am about this, you know.
100%.
And that takes real strength to, like, reel that shit in, collect your thoughts for a minute, and be like, okay, this is going to be my next plan of attack. Yeah. Because when I'm in the moment, I really can't think of what the next right thing is, or the next intelligent thing I should say, or it's in life has become like almost like a negotiation with yourself and negotiation with other people. And when I start to freak out about things, then I've just given them the power. I just gave them the control. Right. I've showed my ass. And this is the other thing that I want to touch on too. I don't like to apologize.
It's not fun. I mean, there's not, like I said, there's nothing wrong with it, but tucking your tail between your legs. And some people be like, well, you apologize, it makes you a man, and then you stand up. And I'm like, it does. But what did you have to do to get to that point to apologize? Let me fix that out here, because I don't really necessarily want to keep apologizing and eventually apologizing so many times for acting the same way. It doesn't really mean anything. You know what I mean? So that's why I said before, I think control your reactions. And for me, it's sometimes I just gotta like walk away. I just need 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes. Let me process whatever's going on in my head. I want to bury the body, or how do I handle it here?
Yeah.
Let me process that.
Yeah.
Once I get the blood pressure down just a little bit, go handle the problem. But like you said, over the time of practicing that, those times have gotten shorter.
Yeah.
And I think continuous practice of that will make it to where, like, hopefully those feelings, I won't have to do the walks for 5 minutes.
Yep.
I can just be like, stay calm. I've seen guys in situations and they're just calm, and I'm just like, man, I want to be that dude.
Right.
I want to be able to just, nothing will affect you.
Yep.
And I think that's a different level up too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, bigger guys out there, bigger business leaders.
Yep.
And they're just super calm about, but I think it takes a lot of time to get there.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think for everybody, especially men, it's one of the most difficult things to do is trying to control your feelings.
It is. And like the key word there was control.
Yeah.
To control a situation, and guys like us have to learn how to control ourselves first.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And that's a skill. Again, and the skill is something that we get to work on. We get to work on that, patience, empathy, maybe be more curious, opposed to being judgmental all the time too. That's one thing that's really helped me. And this is the thing too. My apology earlier would have been pay the bill. I wasn't ready to do that. Could I have? I could have. I played dumb, but no, that was not going to be my apology. You know what I mean?
I understand.
I would have made the situation so worse. There would have been no other option.
Yeah. And like you said, it would have gave them the power.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Reactions. It's crazy, especially you see it with social media.
Yeah.
It's like there's these keyboard warriors, they call them out there on other people's things, saying things, and as soon as somebody, and I've learned that too, is you give somebody the reaction, and those are battles that you'll never win. And then you look back and you're like, look at all the time and energy that I just spent on something that doesn't mean anything. It's not doing anything beneficial for me or my family. You just waste a bunch of time. But like I said, it gives them the power. They keep doing it because what are they? It doesn't matter to them at all. So staying out of that kind of stuff too has been a part of, like, just, I'm not even, if it's not benefiting me, my life, or what I'm trying to do, I don't have time for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No. And if, I'm more concerned about my health, my physical well-being, my mental well-being, and not remaining in control has had negative repercussions on my physical health, high blood pressure, headaches, emotional hangovers. I'm a highly motivated person, and I want to stay motivated. And I know when bad shit happens, right, there's one of two ways I can handle it. There's really no in between. For me, it's like either I'm going to deal with this well, or I'm going to deal with it very poorly. You know what I mean? And that really, at the end of the day, we have that decision to make. Mm-hmm. Some people are like, I just can't help it. I'm just so angry, and I didn't. And it's like, no, you have control over two things. You have control over your emotions, and you have control over your actions. Right? You really do. As much as we want to be ignorant to it and blind to the fact that we do have control over our actions, and we do have control over our emotions, our attitude. Actually, I should say attitude is what I meant to say. It's two A's: actions and attitude. Mm-hmm. We have control over both of them. A lot of people don't understand the fact that you do have control over that, because I understand what it means to be blinded by rage. Like I fully understand that. It's only because you've conditioned yourself to ignore everything else. Mm-hmm. You can't even hear people. Yeah. And you see red, right? Exactly. Been there, did that, but that's because I was conditioned that way. Right. And I chose to continue down that path. But like I said earlier, when I actually got to experience other people's behavior, I've talked about this a couple of different times. There was this dude, Chuck, that I used to see quite often. Okay. So it was me, Chuck, and Jana in the basement of this church, of all places. Right. And we were all arguing over the supplies. Jan and I took care of the supplies. We'd buy coffee, sugar, all this stuff. And we were running short on something. And mind you, we started 2 meetings a day. It went from 1 meeting a day to 2 meetings a day. And it took both Jan and I to keep up with the coffee and stuff like that, because we didn't know what to expect with that extra meeting. So it went from essentially 7 meetings a week to 14 meetings a week, which means there's twice as many people gathering 2 different times a day for an hour a day. So he was bitching about that, and we were carrying some of the supplies down. And I don't remember exactly what happened, but Chuck ended up getting butthurt, and he kind of like pushed the box towards Jana. So, one, I saw myself in Chuck, not because of what he did to Jana, but how he reacted because he didn't get his own way, because he was so hell-bent on being right. He had to be right, no matter what. Couldn't hear anything else. It was his way or the highway. But obviously what pissed me off is how he pushed the box of sugar when I was standing there, throw it at me. Right? So, of course, number one lesson was I got to see myself in Chuck. Like, it was almost like I was able to like hover over the situation and watch it unfold. So then, of course, I get pissed. Okay. And Chuck didn't really do much. He just kind of was like, well, here, you take it then. You know what I mean? She didn't fall over. It wasn't this big dramatic thing as my mind perceived it to be, because back then, because this was several years ago, I had to be right too. Right? There was no love in the room. It was all, we want to be right. Okay. So Chuck storms out, and I was like, you ain't going nowhere. So he ran up the steps. I grabbed a hold of his leg, and I drug his dumb ass down the steps. He got away from me. It's pretty wily of a guy. So he got away from me, and he runs up the steps, and he leaves, and he calls the cops. Well, my behavior trumped the situation. Okay. Who ended up going to court? It was me, right? When it wasn't really that big of a deal, and we just both wanted to be right. You know what I mean? Like when things should be ordered, how much should be in the stock room, and all this stuff. And it was like, dude, nobody knows. It's been a couple of weeks. We don't know how much stuff we're going to go through yet. We don't know what to inventory yet. You know, we really didn't know what to inventory, but it's because of situations, because of me acting poorly, and because of me being able to actually experience watching other people act poorly, is why I am where I am today. Because if I wouldn't experience those things, and unfortunately 90% of the time, the pain that I feel today is some kind of self-inflicted pain. I'm not saying bad shit doesn't happen to good people, because it will, but the feelings, the emotions, the lack of sleep, the stress, the anxiety, the neurosis, all of those things are self-inflicted, induced emotions that I feel, and it's brought on by me. And learning how to control these and knowing what may create anxiety in my life and allowing that to stack up and get worse, that's my fault. That's my action, right? Action. Number 1A, action. Number 2A is attitude, right? Like, so if you can get those two things under control, my actions, right? So don't let it pile up. Quit procrastinating, right? Move your ass. Get off your dead ass. If you don't like a situation, get off your dead ass and change it, right? And don't sit around and complain about shit all the time. Do you know what I mean? That's your attitude. Like, I have control over whether if I'm happy or not. I'm not saying people don't suffer from non-situational depression, because sometimes I'll get bummed out because of a situation or something like that. But even somebody that's clinically diagnosed with depression, there are cold showers, there are hot showers, you can work out, there are things around. I'm not saying you don't need medications, but maybe not as much medication, or learning how to self-treat yourself with healthy things, healthy diet, right? Working out, all of these things that you can do for yourself, because you can't tell me that that's not kicking in healthy endorphins that make you feel better about yourself, because you're actually doing something good for yourself. You're getting enough rest, you're exercising, you're eating good. Like, I'm not saying you won't still be depressed, but the chances are less likely of you being depressed if you feel good and confident about yourself.
It's those things too, like we talked about that. You talked about like the cold plunge. I mean, it's a scientific fact of what it does to, you know, the endorphins in your body and how long it lasts, and you know, all that kind of stuff. There's, in today's society, there is so much information out there. YouTube, Google, whatever you want, on how to,
ChatGPT.
on how to helps those situations, you know, and it's almost getting to a point, I believe, where it's almost unexcusable for anybody to feel bad.
Yeah.
It's like there's so much
Like
stuff.
seriously, you know, it's almost like diabetes today. Like diabetes are so, and you know, I'm borderline probably diabetic now.
Yeah.
One of us kids had to end up being diabetic. My mom was diabetic, and there's three of us. So they said one of us would probably end up getting it later in life, like she did. But if I think I don't know where my sister and my brother is with their health, but we had my blood work done not that long ago, and I've been, you know, I'm taking better care of myself today, so I kind of know where my levels and stuff are.
Yeah.
More frequently than not. And she said, you know, you could potentially at some point in time, if you don't get things under control. Now, granted, I have had 2 small Red Bulls since we've been here this morning, but I haven't had any. I'm down to 1 cup of coffee, you know, because I want. It's my decision. It's my choice. Nothing's making me, but me, pick this up right now and drink the rest of this. You know what I mean? No one. Vic isn't holding me down and strapping duct tape to my forehead and my chin, holding my mouth open, forcing yellow red. I'm actually doing it so they endorse us.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Fuckers, they already missed that train. Don't even fucking bother calling us now. Just kidding. But anyhow, I don't even know where the hell I was going. It's it's attitude and actions.
Yeah,
right?
I agree with you 100%. And some things we talk about too is people get overwhelmed because they have so much to do. And I used to be that guy. It was like, okay, well, today I'm going to stop eating terrible. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to completely 360 everything that I've done. And I wear myself and I'm setting myself up for failure.
Mhm.
So you go from 7 cups of coffee a day to 8 Red Bulls and you're down to 1 cup and 1. It's progression.
Yeah.
It's progression. I think the way that we eat, getting the out of the diet mentality, and it's progression. Don't try to, at least for me, try to do everything cold turkey right away tomorrow, because I'm a perfectionist and I expect me to be, damn near, a nutritionist in 24 hours.
Me too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I'm just setting myself up for failure. So I've learned over time and tried to progress. And I try to get better every day.
Mhm.
That 1% better every single day.
Yep.
In a year, you're 365% better. And just keep tagging along and chucking along and chucking along. And if today, I take a step backwards, that's fine. Tomorrow I'm going to keep going forward. And kind of that mindset's helped me in everything that I do, whether it's, health or personal life or, at work or it's sales or whatever the case may be. We just got to get better every day.
Yep.
And patience does play a little bit of a factor in that. But I just think if people these are my goals and I'm going to meet them, we're just going to get there, and it's not going to be a perfect scenario.
Yeah, no, I like that too. I was just sitting there thinking, it's simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I know how hard it was for me not to go from drinking 3 Red Bulls 7 days a week down to where I'm at with it now. It's been a while since I drank it. And honestly, it's kind of like one of those things. Now it's a treat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're on the road. It's, lack of sleep and stuff like that. And it's just kind of like, I drank it and it actually did what it was supposed to do for you know what I mean? Opposed to where, I don't know, I almost felt like I was addicted to it with my tolerance so high that it wasn't even doing anything other than if I didn't drink it, I'd get a headache.
Right. Yep.
Because now my body's chemically dependent upon it. So, I don't think there's anything that we can't do as long as we don't, if it's bad for you, as long as we don't overindulge in it. I think somebody said one time to me that that's what it says in the Bible, which I have no idea if it does or not, but it's like, as long as gluttony, I guess, if we're not gluttonous over something, then not that it won't hurt us at some point in time, but it's like anything else. It's like just one day at a time, and okay, so I stumbled a little bit today. I bet I won't have any tomorrow, not because I feel guilty of it. It's just because it's not on the forefront of my mind that I need to run to the grocery store and go buy a 6-pack of Red Bulls. It's just, it's not in my diet today. I've had 2 people come up to me since we've been here and they're like, dude, like, have you been working out? I was like, yeah. And it was not Gino Wickman. He's the author of the book Traction. The guy from One Tap Connect. What is it? Charlie Chena. from One Tap Connect, he was like, dude, you look really good. He's like, do you work out every day? I said, just about every day. I said, we did a Fearless 44 last year. It was last December. So this December would have been a year ago. I have not stopped other than the 2-minute live on a consistent basis. And that's what it, like, I didn't see instant gratification at the end of the 44 days.
Right.
Like, it just was not enough for me to get where I felt like I needed to be. And I'm still not, I don't know if I need to get a nutrition. I don't know, but like I'm not who I used to be. I'm definitely not who I used to be, but I'm not where I want to be yet.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's nice to hear somebody else, because Jana sees me all the time. Not that she's not my biggest fan.
Of course.
You know what I mean? But when you see somebody all the time, like, you don't tend to see certain features about somebody's body, right? But when you haven't seen somebody for a while, and Chris Hofstra came over and kind of chest bumped me, and he said Heidi must have been watching one of our Behind the Tool Belts, and she asked him, is Ty working out? Like, she saw it on video.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So people are starting to, and it's only taken over a year.
Yeah.
Before people, I mean, it's taken a year, and but it's only been a year.
Right. Yeah. Only been a year. And it's what I always say too, is like, it's, you know, like the guys that I run, and, you know, I'm like pushing them, when they're in there doing their thing, and, you know, Vic, my production manager, he's down like 12 pounds. You know, he's like, man, I feel better. I'm sleeping better. His mom's saying how he, you know, how he looks better, and keeps encouraging him to go on.
Yes.
And for me, that holds myself accountable, because now I have to back up everything that I've said.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those, it's almost, if I think about it, sometimes it's kind of selfish. It's kind of like, I'm going to push these guys to do this, but it holds me accountable. Now you have people noticing after that year. So what are you going to do? Be like, oh, cool, I got where I'm at, and I'm going to stop? No, it's going to keep pushing you to keep going and keep going. And that's, I've found things like that, excuse me, all over. My household is the same way. You know, I got to make sure I'm on my shit, so they're on their shit. And if I'm not on mine, they're not on theirs. So it's like, it holds me accountable to stay. Because like I said, I mean, I'm a creature of habit. I would love to sit on the couch and be 600 pounds and do nothing and eat Cheetos. I would love to do that, because it's super simple. You know what I mean? It'd be easy, and I'm that guy, but it's just not, it's not feasible. But it is hard. And like you said, after the Fearless 44, and you've been in this a year, and you're still doing everything but the 2-minute lives, it's because it's a habit.
Yeah.
It's now your habit of the way that you live your life. And we have all these, you know, fad diets, sales trainings. We have all these things out there, and it's just quick, this instant gratification. And that, I don't want to say never, but 99% of the time, none of that sticks. None of it sticks, and none of it works. Work on the things, continuously keep working on them. And after times, you're going to see the results, but now they become habits, and you're just going to keep doing those things over and over.
Yeah.
And then when you've gotten there, now you need to add something else.
All right.
One thing at a time, one habit at a time, change one thing at a time, get that to where it's a habit, add something else. And I've found, for me personally, that's just the best way to do it. And even though I will stumble and take some steps back every now and again, you know, and you just got to be like, shit, all right, let's go. We got to get back on our horse. We have people watching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether it's children, people you work with.
And not just that, they're relying on us too.
For sure.
And how selfish would it be if we didn't take care of ourselves, Mike? For them. It's not even about us. Yes, of course, I got to take care of myself, but I'm doing it not just for myself, but I'm doing it for everyone else around me too. Vic and I have talked about this 100 times on this podcast, where it's like that. If I'm not eating, right, we can't feed other people. You know what I mean? And if you're not, you're just playing the martyr. You know what I mean? Well, if I didn't have to take care of you all the time, I wouldn't be 300 pounds. That's BS. You know what I mean? It's like I am responsible for my own well-being. Like, I can't rely on somebody else, you know, to make sure I get rest. Make sure, and half of this stuff is the integral part of it is, it's like nobody's watching me behind closed doors. So who's pushing me? You know what I mean? I have to. If I'm saying I'm working out, like, I'm not the guy that's going to be posting selfies in the gym bathroom and shit like that. I'm not saying that I haven't been compelled to do it, because I've wanted to do it.
Yeah, I've done that shit a little bit.
Right. Okay. I mean, I understand why though.
Yeah.
I get it because you're pumped about it. It's not, hey,
Yeah.
look at me. It really isn't. It
For
is,
sure.
but it isn't. It's
Yeah.
kind of I feel good, and you want to share that with other people. Like,
Yeah.
and I get that, but I would rather have my physical well-being speak louder than me posting selfies on
Yeah.
social media. I think, you know what I mean? It's the things that I'm doing when nobody's watching. You know, it's like where does, this is such a great question. Where does a championship boxer become a champion?
Yeah. Doing the hard shit behind closed doors.
Yeah, it's not in the ring.
No, doing the 3:30 in the morning workouts and doing that's really honestly where in anything that you do, that's where champions are made. It's
Mhm.
kind of, you know, when
Yes.
people aren't watching, doing those things consistently, when there's nobody to motivate you. It's funny because I listen to things and they're, you know, motivation is just shit because it comes and goes. It's really down to discipline.
Mhm.
And that speaks to me loudly because when I'm not motivated
Mhm.
and I'm like, oh, I'm not motivated today to go do this thing, you've got to get, my head is the worst place for me to be,
Mhm.
you know, and taking charge of my own thoughts and be like, dude, get up, get your shit together,
Mhm.
let's go. Like, let's go. And every time I do that, I'm like, man, I'm glad I did it.
Mhm.
Whatever it
Always
is,
feel better.
for sure.
Because that's where the real growth happens, is in those times of when I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people get off track, because, and that's the thing, it's like quitting and failure breeds itself, right? It becomes easier to quit or easier to stop when you're so used to quitting all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you quit one little thing, it just makes that harder thing that comes along easier to quit.
Yeah.
You know, so like quitting breeds quitting.
Yep.
You know, and that's why it's great to lead by example. You were talking about, you know, watching other people, you know, start to develop themselves, lose 12 pounds and stuff like that. For me, that motivates me even more to watch that, knowing that, you know, I've kind of influenced that, because obviously I don't have control over what people do.
Yeah.
But to be able to impact somebody enough and inspire them to want to lose 12 pounds like that, like now I can't give up.
Yeah.
Now I can't quit.
Yep.
Right. Like I need to lose 3 more pounds. Now I need to gain 5 more pounds of muscle,
Yep.
or whatever the case might be.
Yep.
Right. Like, because now you've created that momentum, right, in everybody around you. So when you start to lack and ease off, they're going to see that.
No, and I think too, where for me, where it comes down to it is like, man, I hate preaching to people, if you will, about this and that and health and whatever, all the things that I've learned over the past years. And but I think when you go to somebody with straight authenticity and you do care, it's different. It's not like you're just calling me out because I'm fat or I'm lazy or whatever. It's you genuinely do give a shit about that person. And I think that is a bigger motivator and a factor for those people, to help them. It's like, man, he really does genuinely care. You know, he's not just saying the thing to say the thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that's some of the difference too in having those people, because they almost don't want to let you down because you just care.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it helps push them.
Yeah.
It's just this big circle of accountability without really people thinking of it as accountability.
Yep. Yeah. And it's like I said, it's simple, but it's not easy to do, because, you know, this probably won't last forever, but the seed has been planted, and they know how they feel today. Right. And let's just say, you know, we fall off the wagon and we stop working out for a couple weeks. Shit, it could be a year. We're going to go back to it at some point in time and chase that feeling that we experienced the year prior, or 6 months or 3 weeks or whatever it was, because I've gone 3 or 4 or 5 days when we were in Cayman. Now we did yoga and stuff like that, but that was not that I loved yoga, by the way. It was the first time I ever did it. It was a different type of working out. And scuba diving, who would have thought my metabolism, bro, from swimming underwater like that, dude? I probably lost more weight there in that week that we were there than I've in 2 weeks of me trying to lose weight.
Right.
Yeah, dude, it was insane.
I bet.
The amount of weight in my metabolism where I could have eaten anything, it wouldn't matter. My body would have burned it off. But it wasn't hard for me to get back on the bench when I got back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I've created that habit.
Mhm.
I was actually starting to feel some kind of way. Like I started to like look around my room, like, hey, can I do push-ups off of that? Can I start doing squat? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I was hungry for it.
Yeah.
You know, thank God that I formed that good habit, because you were talking about habits earlier. It's like you have good habits and you got bad habits, and it's like I guess we need to first make a list of like what bad habits do I want to stop, but most importantly, what good habits do I want to form? I think most people focus so much on their bad habits that I think it's not easier to form good habits, but when you start to create those good habits, those bad habits, like Red Bull, like the journey that I'm on right now, I don't want that amount of sugar in my body. Just the thought of it right now is almost sickening of how much sugar is in that actual can, because I think about like when I'm working out, like how is my body going to sweat this shit out? Like now it's kind of like now I'm working against myself. I'm kind of sabotaging myself. I'm setting myself up for failure,
Right.
because my body's going to have to sweat all that sugar and all that shit out. And I probably, if I'll probably work out tomorrow morning, but I'll have to probably work out even harder to burn these calories and the sugar and all that stuff that I've absorbed. Now, granted, being on the show floor does help, being on your feet all
Yeah.
day long, but it's still not the same
Right.
as going into a gym and working out and busting my ass in there and exhilarating myself. And the importance of that, I see, this is the thing I think a lot of people don't understand about working out and exhilarating yourself. And what I mean by exhilarating yourself is like pushing it one last time to the point where you're gonna have to just jump out of the way. You know what I mean? To get that blood pumping so much and to exhilarate yourself, the blood flow that you get to the brain. And for me, if I'm having a long day or a long week, it doesn't seem like it's as bad or as long, because I'm exhilarating myself at least. And I mean pushing myself hard, because I can't push myself hard like that every single day of the week, especially on certain body parts and stuff. But if I'm doing that 3 or 4 days a week, I can think clear. Okay. My temper isn't as flared up.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, I don't know if it's the dopamines and the endorphins, but that exhilarating and almost screaming has done so much for me physically, mentally. And let's not even, the only thing we didn't talk about is the spiritual aspect of things. It's almost like when I'm done and I get that cold shower, when I'm done, dude, bro, like there is no better feeling. There's no drug that I could possibly chase that would give me that feeling, for especially for that amount of time.
Yeah.
You know, hours afterwards, the energy that I have and the clarity that I've gained by exhilarating myself.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, using those emotion, you know, when you're doing whatever. It's funny. Right before I came here, I've been wanting an assault bike, or some people call them a calorie bike. I've been wanting one for a long time, and they're just ungodly expensive. And I said to Jamie, I said, hey, I don't really want much for Christmas or birthdays or anything. But I was like, I want an assault bike, damn it. Like, and she's like, why would you want that? And I'm like, man, just the times where you're over emotioned and you've had a bad day, or like, I don't know, whatever's going on, you can go out there and you can just pound on that thing. And you don't need to, it doesn't need to be 30 minutes. I don't want to strap on my running shoes and go run 20 miles. In fact, I don't want to. I won't. Like, it's just not my thing.
Yeah.
But getting out there and exerting
Yes.
as much as I can, as hard as I can, as fast as I can, you know, even 30 seconds.
Is it a fan bike?
Yeah, fan bike,
Okay.
calorie bike. I mean,
Okay.
it's
Okay.
yeah, and it's
Okay.
it's just one of I watch CrossFit a good bit,
Yeah.
and like those dudes are jacked.
Yeah.
They're awesome. Some of the workouts that they do with them is for me, like I don't run, I don't do much crazy activity anymore. So sometimes I'm outside and I'm playing with the kid or the dog or something. I notice myself, I'm a little out of breath. I'm like, dude, come on, man, you got to get your shit together. But cardio is the worst thing for me. So it's like you would help me, but like kind of going down what you said though, is just getting out there and exerting that extra energy.
Yes.
And I think it would help too, is like when you go to sleep, that would help your mind turn down
Yes.
and turn off and give
Yes.
you a better good. I know David Carroll just not long ago had a big Facebook post about that.
Yes.
And it's like, dude, we struggle.
Mhm.
I struggle with that. Waking up at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. It's
Another
like,
question.
work. What am I going to do this? How am I going to do this?
Yes.
It's like, it's just because I don't
Mhm.
think I've exerted myself enough that day.
Yep.
And sometimes it happens when you sit in an office a
Yes.
good bit, like when you
Yes.
have office days,
Yes.
you go home and you're like, I'm mentally tired, but I'm not really
Physically.
tired.
Yes.
So I think those kind of things, exactly with what you're talking about, is a necessity for some of us to be able to just turn that off.
Yeah.
It's almost like when you have a dog with a bunch of energy, you're walking with a weighted vest.
Right.
It's kind of the same
Yeah.
thing, to where you
Yes.
get that energy out of you, and it helps you think clear. It just helps you be in the moment
Yep.
with whatever you're doing. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyhow, how long have we been on here, Vicky?
It's been a minute. I don't know.
An hour. We did our hour.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Couple hours. Okay.
Sweet.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, thank you guys for tuning in live today. I'm not exactly sure how many of you were out there, but I'm sure you'll catch it on the replay if you didn't catch the beginning of this. I think this is a great topic on getting out of yourself and getting and pouring yourself into other people and self improvement and personal development and all that stuff. Of course, those of you that watch this podcast as often as I hope you are, that's what this is about. We're all about leveling up, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, and surrounding yourself around like-minded people that just want to do great things for other people. But in order for us to do that, we have to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
First and foremost, it sounds selfish, but that's the selfish part of this program, I guess. If you want to call it a program or lifestyle, I guess, that we choose to live today is, trying to just be a better person than I was yesterday, and try to have as much impact as I possibly can, as we possibly can, for everybody on a daily basis. And that's essentially why we started this podcast.
Yeah. I mean, it's 100%. I mean, I always used to be afraid to have conversations like anything like this. I'm not a big social media poster. I try to,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know where I heard it. I don't remember. It was a podcast or a book or something I read one time, and they just said, like, if you don't say your struggles, you don't put your stuff out there. And I think this is one of the positive things about social media is nobody will know, and who could you help today?
Mm-hmm.
But you have no idea. Your conversation that you have, one person could need that today,
Yeah.
and they could be like, it can motivate them and help them just at least get off the couch today,
Yeah.
or whatever that is. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I try to think about that more often because I'm more of an introvert.
Yeah.
But these kind of things are important, I think, for
It is.
whoever's listening.
Yeah, it really is. It really is, to let other people know that, we do struggle, but this is what we've done, and this is what has helped, and I was just thinking something too, when you were talking earlier, for whatever reason, this popped in my head, like, there's 2 times to plant a tree, right? 20 years ago and today, so essentially start today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go for a walk. I mean, I love to walk, and they say the average person starts to feel this sense of euphoria after 20 minutes. It could be walking on a treadmill, it could be indoor walking, but they do say walking outside is a little more beneficial for your immune system, to be outside and huffing, breathing in the pollens and just, the air, the fresh air
Right.
is much better for your immune system. But as long as you're walking on a treadmill or you're riding a bike, whatever it is, just start 10 minutes a day. Do it 5 days a week. I mean, until you can build up that stamina till you reach a goal, whatever it is. But it starts 1 pound at a time, 1 day at a time, half a pound at a time. And I know what's worked for me is intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
It has been the best thing. I haven't ate yet today, which I should have probably ate about an hour and 38 minutes ago. But I give myself from 2 o'clock, usually 1 to 2 o'clock, to about 8 o'clock at night to eat. Now that may change a little bit. Like, let's say we do a late dinner tonight. That means I got to go even longer tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just adjust that. But for me, that works great for me. And it's like, right now I have the most energy I'm going to probably have all day long until I get something to eat.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's almost like as I'm starving myself, I get more energy from from that. But then when I do eat, I'm going to take back what I just said, because now when I do eat, it actually gives me fuel.
Yeah.
But I was in a point in my life where I used to hate to eat, because every time after I ate, I felt like shit.
Mhm.
But that's why I eat the way that I eat today, because then when I do eat, it actually just gave me energy.
Yeah, it's what you eat. I know we're trying to wrap this up, so
That's good.
it's kind of like, you know, knowing what you eat and put in your body. You know, you can tell for me, when I put any kind of carbs, any kind of gluten. I mean, I don't want to do the whole gluten thing,
Right.
but breads, pastas, whatever. Shit does not agree with me.
Yeah.
I'm better on a high protein. But when you do have times to
Mhm.
where I'm going to go eat pasta because I don't know, whatever the case may be, because I do love pasta,
Yep.
it doesn't affect me as much,
Right.
because I don't have it in my body.
It's
all the
almost like your
time.
body needs a carb.
I mean, it definitely does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of other stuff that you don't need that are in our foods today, but
Exactly.
it's just one of those things where, like you said, when you do have those times,
Mhm.
it just doesn't affect you as much.
Exactly.
Because it's in moderation.
Mhm. No doubt. Cool. All right, man. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to sign out for a little bit here. I'm sure somebody else is going to walk up here and want to go live. I think we're going to be here till at least 6 o'clock. I think we're going to run around and actually do some interviews with people. I don't know if we're going to do that live or not, but we'll at least do one more live before we sign off today. All right. Till then, we'll see you later.